Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about, of course, we've seen the comments come in from the PTI chief, former chairman, Imran Khan Saab, about going to the IMF as far as allegations of rigging are concerned. We'll be talking about, of course, the reaction we've seen come out from various quarters regarding, of course, this letter to be written to the IMF, and the Senate reaction, the reaction all over, and what it means for Pakistan, its economy, its stock exchange, when, of course, we are wanting to move on at this time in terms of post-election scenario where government formation is on the agenda and moving forward towards certainty as far as to give economy paramount importance seems to be the goal. We'll be talking about this, we'll be talking about the ramifications of the kind of politics at play from one side at particular and what it can mean for Pakistan as a whole, what it can mean for the economy as a whole and for all stakeholders at this time. All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Dr. Abid Abbasi, who is a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We have with us Muneeb Qadir, who is a legal expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Dr. Qayyum Sulehri, who is a senior economist. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to start with Dr. Abid Qayyum Sulehri and then come back to Dr. Abid Abbasi here. Abid Sulehri Sahab, there is, of course, as far as the ramifications on the economic scene are concerned, how do you look at this? Because, of course, when we post-election scenario at this time, of course, we've seen the election results, and then at this time we are, of course, moving towards government formation. When these kind of remarks come, and from one particular political party, what kind of course we've seen the reaction come from various quarters, but what kind of a reaction can you expect internationally also?
First things first, I think we shouldn't confuse the two very important issues. One is macroeconomic stability of Pakistan, and second is functional democracy and the perception about elections, and these two should be kept separate. Of course, if there are any quarters which have problems with election results, they should contact the right forums and they should make their case there and, of course, get any redressal if it is allowed under the law of the land. But linking these two, it's not either or situation. It would be just like saying that if economy of Pakistan doesn't improve, it would mean that Pakistan doesn't deserve a democracy, and if democracy doesn't improve, it would mean that Pakistan doesn't deserve strong macroeconomic stability. And then the second thing is that writing such letters or contacting IMF would not yield any positive results on Pakistan's democracy. IMF is not a forum which is meant to take such complaints. IMF is a technical body, and as a technical body, IMF would be, of course, negotiating with the next government, the next program or conclusion of this program. The next government would present its set of commitments that IMF would like the next government to follow, and based on them, there would be a decision on providing Pakistan next extended fund facility.
Abid sir, before I move on, I think the distinction that you've drawn is extremely important for all intents and purposes. But, even earlier on, we saw an audio leak. And again, I want to say this because we don't know the authenticity of it and all. But at the same time, when we look at the audio leak and the fact that there was talk about, throwing the IMF program under the bus for short-term political gain. These kind of audios, these kind of propagandas, these kind of, news which is not really news, does have an impact, a real impact on economy, does it not?
It does impact on Pakistan's credit worthiness, and it does impact on the risk metrics that multilateral organization they prepare when they enter into negotiation with any country. So, for example, if there is political instability in Pakistan, the risk metrics that would be prepared that would very clearly say that one of the risks that may affect this successful conclusion of next program would be political instability. The second thing on risk metrics is always the law and order situation, security situation. If God forbid, if there are security incidents that can affect successful implementation of the program, and usually the third kind of risk that plurilateral organizations they put for Pakistan is external changes. For example, if this situation in the Middle East escalate and oil prices they suddenly go high, or if monsoon.
Abid Sahab, is it actually when we ask the IMF or when we want to ask, when we purport to ask IMF to do this audit, is it under the purview, is it within the ambit of IMF to do this audit when we have checks and balances, when we have a system in place in Pakistan, already, like tribunals, like the courts, like, there is a justice system in place in Pakistan, like you also said. Is it under the purview? Does it come under the purview of IMF at all?
I have already made the comment that this has nothing to do with IMF. IMF is a technical body which is meant to support balance of payment in debt-troubled countries. So IMF will not entertain any such request because it's not mandated to do it.
Okay, fair enough. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Muneeb Qadir and then come back. Muneeb, there is, you heard what Abid Sulehri Sahib is saying. So what do you think? Is it just propaganda, or is it, this is that instance where this kind of news is thrown out into the field, into the atmosphere to create stir, to further the propaganda, to further a faulty narrative? Is that what it is targeted to do?
It's all of this, what you said. It's propaganda, but it's also a political party and a political leader, by which I mean the founder of the PTI, Mr. Imran Khan. It's a political party, PTI, and its founder who are putting themselves above and first and foremost, above the nation itself. To them, it's all about give us our seat by hook or by crook. Just make us the prime minister, let us form the government, regardless of any respect for a constitutional law, any respect for a parliamentary system. Just put us in place, give us power once again, as we once enjoyed, and we are ready to throw everything under the bus. Does not matter that an already poverty-stricken population, if they have to endure even greater poverty, greater inflation, greater hunger, but somehow the other just create this narrative that the elections have been rigged. And I think that it's a very lazy attempt, because how come that constituencies where you won the majority, there you are not alleging that electoral rigging had taken place.
We've also seen this. We've also seen this with regard to the elections and the rigging. It is being said that it is on a multitude of seats. I mean the exact number of it, and then at this time, as far as the cases are concerned, correct me if I'm wrong, there's some 35 in the field where the PTI itself is contesting those seats actively. It's going to tribunals. The other seats at this time, they're not even contesting. So is it part of that whole narrative that is being put forward at this time, with an effort to
This is a lazy attempt at just not playing by the rule book. This is an attempt to, completely subvert our democratic process, and it's very unfortunate because PTI, first of all, they have themselves said that they have been given the mandate of the public. It's their words that their candidates have won the highest number of seats. So if that is what you're saying, then it's self-contradictory to allege that rigging has taken place. And if that is how you feel, you could always go to the election tribunals, as you've just mentioned. And other than that, I also remember that in 2022, something that you've just alluded to, Mr. Taimur Khan Jhagra and Shaukat Tareen, their audio calls had been leaked, and they had tried to sabotage the IMF deal, which the country desperately needed at that time. So you cannot prioritize yourself before the nation, or otherwise I would not deem you to be a legitimate political force, a legitimate political party.
Fair enough. Let me go to Dr. Abid Abbasi. Abid Sahab, is this also when you talk about, when you give this kind of narrative, when you invite this kind of international interference, whether it's going to come or not, whether it's in the purview or not, but when you're asking for it, is it not, asking international interference in what are domestic affairs of Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Mahrukh. Yes, you are very rightly said. But on one side, that we were demanding, quote unquote, we means the Imran Khan and his party, PTI, they have been demanding Hakiki Azadi from the global powers, from the imperialist power, what he quoted. He is sought freedom for the people of Pakistan and raised very tall slogans, very catchy slogans in public jalsas and in interviews and all that. Right from its inception, or I would say it, that the support of those people who conspired to support this anarchic and populist politics in Pakistan at this very critical juncture of history, where 40% people of this country are leading a life below the poverty line, and the party and his leader are just seeking power for themselves. He has no fundamental issues with the stability of the institution of democracy, or if there is some coercive action from any institution, he is not talking about that. He time and again said that I should be, his whole, the point of view is, his whole demand is that he should be given the power, and for that power he would cross every limit, and he has crossed every limit. And as my friend has earlier said, that the whole, the populist agenda of this political party was based on narratives and tall slogans starting from its inception. We all know that how PTI was installed in Pakistan, what was the RTO system was collapsed, and similarly pre-poll the whole the state was behind this political party to bring them into power at that time. But despite that, unfortunately, the Saqib Nassar, the former Chief Justice, he was launching campaign in the ground. Similarly, the state institution were behind them, the judiciary was behind him, the whole media was either it was arm twisted to support him, or generally media was behind him for many reasons. So that party was installed in the country, and we have seen 62% population oriented province run by Usman Buzdar. That gentleman was seen, I'm sorry, I'm not be judgmental to him, but his performance is like a very mediocre kind of person. He was not able to run a small organization, even a union council. He was given for that. And we have heard about so many kind of stories in Punjab, and those are in court. Some have been proved. And the gentleman who is in jail, he is convicted in 2 or 3 cases, and many other cases are behind, and still he has not learned any lesson. After 5 years or 10 years, if realized so, he would realize that Pakistan was put under the bus. The whole system was, used for his reason. Then what would happen to the people, poor people of this country?
Let me include Faraz Ali Khan Sahab in this, debate also. Thank you for joining us. He's a political analyst. Faraz Sahab, there is, the narrative itself is a part of this IMF and the fact that the letter should be written or not written. The question is that these statements that are thrown out into our political realm or into the into the media have their own potential ramifications, and this kind of irresponsibility again from the leader of a political party, what does it indicate within the fabric of our political culture? Because there is people that support him, people that have voted for a certain political party. How do you think is this justifiable at all? Because one, you're asking for external interference. Two, you're asking for it on a topic like, on a question like economy, which is, there's no mandate for it. It will have, repercussions in terms of instability, all of those things. So, how irresponsible can you be? That's the important question here.
Well, Mark, to start with, IMF with the recent statement has shunned the PTI leader for that. The statement is very clear that they will be coordinating and cooperating with the new government. So one thing set aside that the letter might be for political mileage, might be for the local media, but any repercussion for the international monetary funds or international lenders will not be there. They
but where
will
does
deal
the
with
political mileage
government.
override your,
National interest.
your national
Yeah,
interest,
I agree,
which is an extremely important question now?
So the problem is, Mahrukh, somehow PTI is a reality. We need to understand that. It was created by state or not created by state, that's another debate. But it exists now. And there are grievances from them. We talk about how elections were conducted, Form 45, yes, no, whatever the problem is. There is a problem that needs to be settled down. It's not just PTI that is coming up with these allegations and problematic solutions.
But there are systems in place.
Yes, there is system in place. They are going to that place as well. But you look at GDA right now, you look at JUIF as well. So every political party except for two are coming up with their grievances. So what people in power need to know right now is they have to address this. It's not just PTI. Maybe PTI is a bit more, they cry a bit louder than the others.
But are they going to address the question again for, PTI or, any other political party in their position is that do they expect there to be a different system for them? Do they expect there to be a speedier justice for them? Do they expect there to be new forms of or mechanisms of dealing with the issue of Form 45 or 47? Should there be those new forums in place? Should we have another parallel justice system?
See, let me add one thing to it, Mahrukh. With Karachi's seats being contested, the ROs that came to election office for Form 45. You know, all the ROs who came back to Form 45 regional election office to cater the complaint, they all had the same written application. It was photocopied. It was like one RO wrote it and they all kept on copying it.
Right.
So with PTI right now, they have lawyers over there. They've got good legal experts who are in the field. They're fighting for their own seats. So if you come up with such weak cases, Election Commission is going to give such weak explanations to them, things will get shady. Election Commission needs to put professionals to cater this as well. You need to look at from their perspective as well.
But let me go to Muneeb on this. I don't know, Abid Sulehri Saab, do we have Abid Sulehri Saab with us now? Abid Saab, can you hear me? No. Muneeb, the question is that we are not disputing here that there are not issues within our legal system. We are not disputing here that we are not, we are understaffed. We are not disputing here that we are technologically challenged as far as the legal affair is concerned. We are not disputing here that there are huge delays. We are not, but the question is your normal man or, other political parties in this case, or your aggrieved people in any particular scenario have been dealing with the same issues within the same system. Should there be another system in place for this political party? Should there be another parallel, speedier justice system just for them? Of course, they had the option of having reform when they were in power. There is that, of course, and one hopes that this government will also move forward towards that step where there will be a speedier justice system for all. But in the meantime, do we need a speedier one, especially for this particular issue?
Well, they say justice delayed is justice denied, but justice rushed is justice hushed. So what I'm trying to say here is that election tribunals or wherever you're taking your complaints within the legal framework, they have their own procedures to deal with allegations of electoral rigging, because these are very serious allegations. It can't be that there could be just one legal system for one political party and other laws for other political parties or people at large. You cannot have that. You can't have your own cake and eat it too. So the thing is that it's based on malice and it's not based on good faith. A lot of what is coming from one particular political party, namely PTI here, because it's shameful that recently, the Rawalpindi Commissioner, Mr. Chattha, came out with a video that the election had been rigged and he was a part of it, and now he's backtracked on his statement and he said that he was asked to do that by a certain political party. And when you look at the founder of that political party writing letters to IMF and basically campaigning for sanctions on the IMF, asking IMF to intrude into Pakistan's sovereignty. I mean, what else could be more internal a matter to a country and a part of its political independence and territorial sovereignty than the method and manner in which the elections are conducted? And then you're inviting IMF, a completely, independent international body, to do an audit of the election result in Pakistan. I mean, that's shameful. You have to play your politics within the given dynamics, within the given political, legal, constitutional framework. And I think that this whole campaign runs in the face of our constitutional system and the rules inherent therein. It's very unfortunate. This same political party had also campaigned with their lobbies in America that American or foreign aid should be cut just because they are not having their way. This is not done.
Muneeb, also I want to ask you, a legal question. We saw what happened as far as the Punjab Assembly is concerned. The question of there being, which is also being raised by PTI, of it not being a complete house. Of course, we are looking at the Election Commission deciding as far as the reserved seat scenario overall is concerned. But what do you expect to happen there? I mean, as far as the legal situation at this time is concerned, we expect perhaps a result from the Election Commission in a day or so?
It could be so. It could be, but the predicament that PTI finds itself in is that they have formed an alliance with the Sunni Ittihad Council. Now they want to have that quota of reserved seats, the seats for minorities, and there are certain outstanding questions that need to be resolved. Foremost among them is the question that what happens when you are allied with a political party which hasn't really won any seat, or are you still eligible to claim minority seats, reserve seats or not? So these are outstanding legal issues which need to be worked out, and eventually we will get to know better in the coming days.
But of course, but is there a purview in the law, in your opinion, to keep those seats vacant if the Election Commission decides that like a party like the Sunni Ittihad Council is not eligible? Or are they going to be distributed among other political parties, that or according to the various quota that, I mean, these are some of the options that are being talked about, right?
Yes, I believe that, if I were to look at the letter and the spirit of the law itself, which governs these matters, the seats shall be then divided among the political parties which have won the election under their own party names, rather than a political party whose status is uncertain simply because they don't have their own seats. They haven't won any of their own seats. What they've done is that they've formed an alliance. Yes.
And plus, I think there has to be a list in the field that you have to give earlier, and I don't think, I mean, of course, the Election Commission will look at it, whether there is such a list in the field at all. So those questions, of course, will have to be answered in a day or two, and we will know what happens in that quarter. But overall, in terms of moving forward, as far as the Senate is concerned, Abid Saab, there is also, we saw a reaction from the Senate also, which was very welcome. We saw, people rallying behind the fact that, we can't have outside interference on this issue, and we need to this is a domestic issue as far as rigging is concerned. And we've also talked about the fact that, okay, Form 45, 47 not being tallied, whatever the assertions are at this time, even if they are more than last time, the question is, elections in this country have always been controversial. So one has to agree, that is a reality also, an unwelcome one, but it is there.
It has not been proved so far that massive irregularities have taken place in the elections, what the PTI is claiming. But yes, you are right that in Pakistan, because we should know that we are a very fragile democracy. We have seen about 40 years direct martial law, the military martial law in this country, the military dictator rules in this country. We haven't seen the institution of democracy persistent in this country, continued in this country. So such kind of irregularities are there. We are not, acquainted with the democracy as an institution. So democratic norms have not been adopted. There are so many loopholes in our system. Our judiciary is not that very much efficient. Similarly, there are so many other flaws there. But you very rightly said that it doesn't mean these problems are not welcome, but still there should not be, there cannot be a parallel system for some ladla, for some favorite in this country, which has been taking place, unfortunately. I think those people who, again, I would stress on this, that who maneuvered this, who promoted this, who propagated this, and who supported this political party, this, I would say, unfortunately, an anarchic or populist to the extent of anarchy. This political party, for its vested interest, can go to every length. They have a phone, as my colleague has earlier said, that Taimur Jhagda and Shaukat Tareen and the finance minister of Punjab, Mohsen Laghari, I think it was, they also, that Adu Kal was alleged largely, intercepted. So they cross that limits for against the interest of this nation, interest of the poor people. 40% below the poverty line they are living. We are facing the price hike of the very highest in the history of this country. Similarly, we are facing such problems, and our judiciary, our state institutions, our media, and all those people who have some stake in this system, they should know now that there should be some red line not to be crossed against the state of Pakistan. Either it's me, either Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, whoever is, there should be very clear lines that this Ladlaism should be shunned now.
But Abid Sahab, is this about, when we talk about political maturity, is this going to take some while before we see certain political parties getting there as far as political maturity is
Look,
concerned?
we have seen a very turmoil situation.
There are, like you said, red lines that cannot be crossed in the national interest. Are they going to get there or not? I'm going to take Faraz Saab's opinion on this also.
I just add one sentence, sorry to Faraz Saab, that we have seen a very, anarchic situation in this country. We have seen Ziaul's martial law and the role of MID against them. A lot of atrocities were meted by political people in this country, political leaders in this country. They were killed, they were hanged, but they have not crossed the red line against the people of this country, against the state of this country. But unfortunately, in 90s, we have seen some very, turmoil-like situation among the political parties like Benazir Bhutto, Shaheed, and Mohtaram Nawaz Sharif Saab. But eventually they have learned from the history, learned from their past that it is not in the favor of themselves and for the people of this country. There should be reconciliation. There should be some democratic process. The political leaders should sit together. Imran Khan is above the political dialogues. His party is above the political dialogue. They use coercive, tactics to maneuver the system in their favor. This is not democracy. If they have them problems, they should sit together. They should amend the law. They should amend the constitution. Judiciary should be amended. The other institutions should be, the rules should be amended to give the justice to the common people and to the Imran Khan and the PTI as well.
For everyone. It can't be, a parallel political system for one segment of society. It can't be that way. And as a society, we need to move towards those solutions that are, perhaps quicker, the legal system that is more efficient. All of those goals are there, and all political parties need to work towards that. Faraz Saab, I want to come to this specifically. As far as you said that it is a reality, of course, as far as PTI is concerned, it is a reality. But the question is that are you again, can't there be a reality within the mandate that they have at this time? Why must they rule to be a reality? I'm just saying that if you look at the parties like, for example, the PMLN, or we look at parties like the PPP also, other political parties, there is a mandate that all these political parties have. Perhaps it's not one that they wanted, but they're they're existing within the purview of the mandate that they have. Go and agitate in the, according to your legal rules, within the courts, whatever the procedures are, tribunals, election commission, follow the legal system wherever it goes, like your common man does. And then exist, if you are in the opposition, isn't it a role that is quite a difficult one, a conducive one, and perhaps more politically empowering in the end?
Mahrukh, to start with, let me just add a point to it. In Pakistan, unfortunately, before every trench is released from IMF, there's a review for everything, from gas prices to privatization to different structuring, restructuring, and everything. Nobody in PTI, I came across, nobody in PTI is saying that IMF should not give the installment or should not get the loan.
Okay.
What they're saying is, since there are so many things that IMF is basically restructuring things, they should put some checks for this as well. Okay. So if we are okay with revising prices for so many things, restructuring so many privatization, and there's a list of things that IMF does for Pakistan, reviews them. I don't think that there should be a problem with this as well. The point is, unfortunately, the legal system, there was a time when any dispute would have been settled by a judicial committee. Someone from the judges, someone from the establishment would come and settle things. We are at the merge, at a point where people have lost their trust on that system as well.
But Faraz Sahab,
This is the problem.
You had a an ex-commissioner come on national TV screens not a week ago and allege and make allegations, and then you had him come. This is a country. This is not a fiefdom. And you had him again come 3 days ago and then retract all those statements.
So Mahrukh, this is the problem. If the commissioner was right in first place, he should be. There should be a proper investigation.
But that's
or if he was wrong at the first place, he should be hanged.
But
he should be put to the charge. The problem is now
you also have a history of 35 punctures. You also have a history of allegation upon allegations. You also have a history of, I'm going to let Muneeb answer this, but you also have a history of waving the cipher, which we can't find now. So
hiring American firms
so there is
propagation.
American firms have been hired by everyone.
And political,
he was in exile.
Okay, but political affiliations aside,
just
I'm
showing
not
their
saying,
ciphers and all that.
I'm not, political affiliations aside, what I'm saying is that those processes within your country, your domestic legal system, your domestic legal process has to be exhausted, and you have to have confidence in that. For everything you will invite America, and you will invite IMF, and you will invite external interference. Ji Muneeb.
Yes, so this is a touchstone feature of the Westphalian, a concept on which international law has been modeled now for centuries, which is that every state is sovereign in its own right. You cannot be lobbying US State Department, which PTI tried doing. You cannot be lobbying IMF, which again they tried doing. And both the times they have been shunned and they have been snubbed. The US State Department has also declared that this is a matter internal to Pakistan. And when your whole politics is based on this narrative, are we slaves? We are going to break away from the shackles of American slavery and all these one-liners and slogans that you've been coming up with. When that has been the whole raison d'etre of your politics, then you actually go to America and you go to US senators and you go to US congressmen and women and you ask them to interfere in Pakistan's internal political matters for you. So I think that here is a political party which is ready to cross all limits to just have things done their way. So it's extremely unfortunate, and I mean, you have very rightly put, you've just said that, the credibility is at an all-time low when it comes to PTI, because with that whole cipher saga, when the founder of PTI had said that he had a cipher, and then he even admitted on television that he had lost that cipher, and then he says that he never even had it in the first place. So you have been contradicting yourself so many times. How can we trust when, a random commissioner stands up from Rawalpindi and then he claims that elections have been rigged? Just right now as I'm speaking, since the last 2-3 days and up till now, a concerted campaign has been going against the Chief Justice himself, and you can see it's out there for everyone to see. It's from PTI accounts, from their verified accounts, from very senior PTI members. They've been running a very dangerous campaign against the Chief Justice. So looked at all of this, collectively, what one can gauge is that this particular political party is not ready to play politics through the rule book. What they are doing is they are trying to exert pressure, and they think that they're still in the 2014 mode. They're on streets, they're protesting on the streets. No, you have to bring a fight within parliament. You have a lot of seats. Your independent candidates have a lot of seats. You could actually provide a very useful buffer against the status quo within, the treasury benches. But you choose not to do that. So that's your loss.
And also, as far as those when you're in opposition at this time, I mean, of course, we've also seen parties, and I'm going to let Abid Sahab answer this, as far as your main political parties are concerned, your coalition partners with the PMLN, the PPP, they've all acknowledged the kind of difficulties, being in government poses for them. So perhaps, as far as an effective opposition at this time is not necessarily a bad role for any political party, no?
Look, Bilawal has launched his campaign to become the Prime Minister of this country. He couldn't secure the seats. They have a lot of problems with the elections. I met some of the very, high-ups in political Pakistan People's Party. They were planning, they were working on a white paper to be published for, some sort of irregularities against them. Other people have also the problem. The PMLN has some problems that they were, what they were expecting. The result, everybody is actually running the elections for the sake of winning the elections. But the fundamental thing is that in Pakistan there is a constitution. Either somebody likes that or not likes that, that has been installed in the country, that has been approved by the overwhelming majority of the people of this country, elected members of this country. And there are two ways. Either it's evolution or revolution. If you are not satisfied with the system, yes, place the revolution, what they are. If we accept that, the people say that they are, the PTI having its grievances, or if the state institution fails to provide them justice, or, supporting them the way they were supported previously, so they have every right to go to every length. This is not justified. For if they are justified, then Taliban is also justified, because they are having their own agenda. We do not believe in constitution. It is against the Islam. The state institutions are against Islam, allegedly, quote unquote. This judiciary is against the Islam, and they are launching a campaign in Pakistan. They are killing the people. Similarly, if we talk about the MQM, the former chief of MQM in Karachi, when he crossed the limit, he has to face the music from the state institution. So within the ambit of the constitution, you have to struggle. If you have some problems, if you feel that these problems are not being addressed accordingly, as we all are agreed that there are so many weaknesses in our system. Our democracy is a very fragile democracy. We need to continue our struggle. Every country in the world, every nation of the world, they were living in the brutal era. They started struggling. They have got the Magna Carta. They continue their struggles. And eventually, after it is what the PTI wants to do in this country, that is a revolution. They kill everybody and come into power and change the system according to their wish.
I can see Faraz doesn't
happen.
agree.
It won't happen in this country. They have crossed every limit in past. They have even breached the constitution.
But it
was the same judicial system when Qasim Suri's petition remained pending for 5 years, but he was enjoying a very lucrative post, being the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, and he is by the way, by the Chief Justice of that time. That was a very Ladla Chief Justice, the Umar Tabandiyal. According to his remarks, that it is apparently a breach of the constitution, which is liable to be, the punishment, it's a very high punishment.
But there is a trend here, when a particular, Faraz, I think I'll let you answer this, because as a trend we see that when a certain political party is the beneficiary of the system, then of course the system has to be glorified. But when it's not, then it has to be thrown under the bus. So I mean that trend is dangerous for democracy, for Pakistan, for our own internal security.
Exactly, Mahrukh. If Qasim Suri was there for 5 years with stay orders from the court, High Court or the Supreme Court, whatever it was, that is wrong. That is equally wrong as delaying right now. You cannot justify the delay now by saying Qasim Suri had enjoyed it. That was wrong.
But what is the delay now?
So the problem is, first of all, what I think, Mahrukh, PTI needs to think about way forward. We cannot draw PTI equate with Taliban or other terrorist movements which have taken up arms. But yes, the youngsters, the teenagers, the people who have voted.
Sorry, Faraz, but we have seen that kind. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We have seen that on 9th of May in this country. They have raised the weapons. They have crossed every limit.
But the question is, no one is saying that their mandate should not be respected. That mandate, whatever mandate that they have at this time, and if they believe that they should have had more, which by the way other political parties also believe, they should agitate in courts. That's what the narrative is, isn't it?
That's fine. Yes, they are going to the courts. They're going there, and apparently they definitely they need to wait for it. They need to wait for the judgment to come.
So is that
but
one
right
person
now, as far as right now is concerned, let's talk about the 3 constituencies of Islamabad. There was a stay order on it, and the court, Salman Akram Raja, the constituency over there, 121 NA. There was a stay from the Lahore High Court. You cannot issue the notice, and Election Commission had immediately issued the notice for the winning candidate. So there is a problem with the system as well. The society is evolving at a higher pace than the system.
Muneeb sir, why are there these issues with the system then? When we have these particular cases where there are stay orders in place, yet notifications are happening.
Yes, so you did mention in your introduction as well that, there might be certain technological glitches, there are certain technological challenges. It's not easy to run election in any case, given the kind of environment that we had. So first of all, it really needs to be proven that whether the said rigging has taken place or not, or whether any inefficiencies have occurred or not. And then the second thing is that there are forums available for it. Like I said, and it's not as if the cases are not progressing. They are in the election tribunal tribunals. Whatever cases then had to be taken to the courts, they are in the courts, just as my co-panelist also mentioned. So every system has its own problems. Pakistan has its own as well, but by and large, I believe actually the February election in 2024 have gone relatively smoothly as compared to the last time. And every political party last time had also, that was in the opposition, had alleged that rigging had taken place. But the same political party which is now complaining still went ahead and formed a government. So you cannot cry foul just because the results are not going in your favor. I think that we have a system in place, but unfortunately for those who want to, violate that system, it's not that easy for them to do so. And those who wish the rules not to apply to them cannot have their wish granted to them so easily. That's all that is happening right now.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for being with us. Dr. Abid Abbasi, thank you for joining us. Faraz Ali Khan, thank you for being with us. Muneeb Qadir, thank you for being with us today. Dr. Abid Qayyum Sulehri, thank you for joining us. Yes, there are issues within our legal system. There's no denying that. Yes, there are delays within our legal system. But those delays also are related to that man who waits for a verdict of his case many years and continues to exhaust the ladder of the legal system. And that same legal system applies to our political parties. Yes, the mandate of every political party should be respected, but so should the political parties learn to keep national interest over short-term political gain. Let's hope all political parties can do that. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.